Listener discretion is advised.
All right. Well, you are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
You don't say.
Or maybe in this case, Memphis accents.
I'm all shook up.
I
I actually don't know what a Memphis accent is, so I'm not going to try.
either.
How I'm gonna go record a record down at the Sun Record Store.
Yep.
I'm not going to say you nailed it because I just am not confident that you did. But the effort was there, and I do appreciate that.
I put myself out there, okay?
You did. You really did. You really did.
You really did.
Really. Should I
Really
regret
did.
that?
Nah, it's too late. Life's too short. Everything is
Life's
tough.
too short to regret a Memphis accent.
Right?
We have a very special fan pick this week, brought to you by our fan picker, Elizabeth. And Elizabeth has selected the topic of Elvis crimes.
Not pelvis crimes.
No.
We'll get
Although
to it. We'll
fits.
get to
Many thought that
Yeah.
his hips were a crime.
Contained the devil.
We'll get to it.
Devil hips.
My notes say read
to
email,
hip.
but I did not plan ahead for that. So we'll look and see if there's an email to read at the end, Elizabeth.
How
okay.
about that? Catch me outside.
We're doing
I'll Google
great.
this email. That's how
Doing
that
our
works.
best.
Yep. We're thriving.
I'm also, for those of you watching the video, so those of you who are Patreon subscribers, you can get all of our regular episodes now, like not past ones, but going forward, regular episodes,
Thursday episodes.
in video form on Patreon if you donate at any level. And those lucky folks get to see me in my hair wrap because I was in the bathtub 12 minutes ago.
I found this email.
Hence the email. Oh, read it.
If you'd like me to
Read it.
read it. Okay, here we go. Okay, Elizabeth says, this might be weird, and you can totally say no, which clearly we didn't. But a bunch of other folks have dedicated their episodes to people.
You know what? I'm going to say no now.
I'm going to say no. And
No.
no, Elizabeth, just kidding. A bunch of other folks have dedicated their episodes to people I'd like to dedicate this episode to. But I would like to dedicate this episode to myself.
Yeah.
Weird,
yes,
I know.
Elizabeth.
But bear with me. I have a good reason. Parentheses. But can you use my last initial instead of my full name if you decide to read any of this? This episode won't air until September of next year. That's where we are right now. And the next 10 months are going to be really fucking tough. So I'd like to give a shout out to me. The me that will have been through the ringer by then and will probably need to laugh, drink, and hear something good about herself. Oh my God, I love this.
Oh my God.
I've survived child abuse, sexual assault, and a childhood with undiagnosed ADHD because girls didn't have ADHD back then. Only boys had ADHD. Fucking patriarchy.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it took me a long time to get an ADHD diagnosis as well, my dear. Severe postpartum depression, my father being killed in a plane crash, and a litigious stepmother from hell, and multiple instances of marriage counseling to keep this 22-year marriage on the rails. Wow, honey, yes.
Dang.
Oh man.
And none of that was as hard as my only child calling us mere weeks after leaving for college, telling us he was having suicidal thoughts. Oh, sorry, telling us she was having suicidal thoughts. I can't read. I so apologize. That call was followed by one from the college to tell us that she was a danger to herself and we needed to immediately drive up, bring her home, and get her under psychiatric care. There aren't words to describe the terror we felt receiving that phone call. We immediately got her into treatment for depression, meds, therapy, and a whole lot of time in a, quote, puppy pile with our 2 coon hounds, LOL.
Oh.
I think her time cuddling with the dogs may have been the most helpful of the 3. And she was eventually able to return to school to finish out the semester. Yes. But we'll be leaving school to come home after the first semester. No shame, no shade.
Mm-hmm.
So by September 2020, I will have been through moving my daughter back home, months of my daughter visiting and looking at other schools, applying to them, deciding where to go, moving her into college, and once again, driving away with high hopes. And you did not think ahead for
You
COVID.
didn't- Yeah,
either.
you also didn't know that it would be a global pandemic and a racial reckoning and
all of the
the
things.
loss of the Supreme Court and an election.
Yep. Only this time, my heart will be in my throat, and I'll be praying to every deity that might exist that my daughter will remain healthy and that depression doesn't take hold again. All this will be happening while still working 50 plus hours a week. Yep, this is America. Just thinking about the next 10 months makes me want to crawl into bed, pull the covers over my head, and ugly cry for hours. We would be right there with you, my friend.
Yeah, and you can do that.
Yep.
It's okay to do that.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm dedicating this Wine and Crime episode to future me. Future me will def need a shout out and a reason to laugh. This is the 2019 Elizabeth telling the 2020 Elizabeth to stop focusing on all the stuff that she's fucked up. Hello, adult with ADHD. Fuck-ups are inevitable. Honestly, any adult ever. Fuck-ups are inevitable. Human being fuck-ups are inevitable. And remember that she is good enough. She is for sure a weirdo, but in the best way. She's also a badass. She has fought life's battles and come out of them with a great kid, sexy as fuck husband, crazy awesome friends, and 2 of the best dogs in the world. She is also strong enough to handle whatever future life battles get thrown at her. Yes, 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 yes. So in the words of Lizzie Hale, I am the one I've been waiting for.
Oh my God.
I love that.
That's so sweet.
I love
All of
this.
us right now should do something in like a time capsule-y way for our future selves 1 year from now.
Yep.
And may we all be as kind as Elizabeth R. is
Yes.
to herself, because
Yes.
that's really sweet.
It's amazing. I love that. That is putting some really good positive energy out into the universe, back toward yourself. It's amazing, and I'm here
Yeah.
for it.
Well, we
So
support
cheers,
you. We're very
Elizabeth.
proud of you, Elizabeth.
Very proud.
Cheers. Yeah,
Cheers.
that's a lot for any human being to handle.
2020 Elizabeth. And also 2019 Elizabeth, because frankly, you fucking killed it then too.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're here for you.
Truth.
Well, I want to cheers. So let's get right to our wine crime pairing.
Yes,
for
let's.
Elvis Crimes.
Today, we are drinking Big House Red because it's like Jailhouse rock. You know,
Jail.
it tracks.
Jail. Big house.
I'm tired. This wine, according to the Big House Wine Co. website notes, is so dark, so delicious, so dangerous. Big House Prohibition Red showcases notes of blackberries and raspberries with hints of leather and spices.
Ooh.
The palate is clean, exhibiting flavors of cranberries, roses, and a touch of rhubarb. Okay, now all I want is pie.
Yeah.
This finish
I
lingers.
didn't know rhubarb could be in anything but pie.
Right?
Cocktails.
here for it.
It's really good in
Oh,
cocktails.
it is really good in cocktails. You're super right about that. Blah, blah, blah. The palate is clean. We already read that. This finish lingers, leaving you with flavors of vanilla and dark cherries. Our Prohibition Red walks the line between soft and smooth and powerful and vicious. It is as infamous as Al Capone or Elvis Presley himself. This is a California red blend, vintage 2014, and clocks in at 13.5% ABV and is indeed a popper.
Nice.
So get yourself a nice pop wine key from our online store, wineandcrimepodcast.bigcartel.com, along with many other phenomenal items of merchandise. Oh, Lucy's wearing her Stay the Fuck Home shirt, and it's so cute.
Which are currently on sale. Get them while they last. People.
Get them while they're no longer hot. Okay. Shall we pop?
Jesus Christ.
You know what?
Get them
I'm
now
fine.
because we have extras and everybody who wanted them already got them.
Yep. That's what a sale is. Let's just be transparent. Okay. Here
But
we
also,
go.
you will be staying the fuck home for the foreseeable future.
the
so-
rest of our fucking lives, everything is dust. Shall we?
Yes, please, God.
Ooh. It had like a boy.
It was like cartoonish pop.
That was definitely cartoon.
Pelvic pop.
Very pelvic. Well, cheers to you and cheers to
Cheers.
Elizabeth R.
Yes, Elizabeth R.
All right.
Ooh, jammy.
I'm drinking Wink's Weekend sparkling wine because It's Wednesday.
I love that.
Is
line.
it? I had no idea.
All right, Lucy, what is our background and maybe psych for Elvis Crimes?
There's no psych.
Yeah.
I'm basically just going to run you through Elvis's life.
Oh, okay. And
Because-
Elvis impersonation, what could possibly compel someone to do that?
Nope. Didn't
Okay.
even do that. Okay. Elvis Aaron Presley was born in Tupelo, Mississippi on January 8th, 1935 to Vernon Elvis and Gladys Love Presley in a 2-room shotgun house built by his father. There is a photo of that house on the blog if you want to see it.
Okay.
And my childhood phone number was Elvis's birthday.
Oh, that's
Sure
fun.
was.
1835.
1835.
Oh my God, this little house is actually really cute.
I'm sure it was not nearly that cute at the time.
It's really cute now.
It's really cute now. Fresh coat of paint will work wonders. Elvis had an identical twin brother named Jesse, but unfortunately, Jesse was delivered stillborn.
Oh, I didn't know
I was going to say,
that.
I did not know that he had
Can you
a twin.
imagine if there were 2 of them?
I
Oh,
know.
no.
Vernon, the father, wasn't able to hold down a steady job, and the family often relied on help from neighbors and government assistance for food, so he was born into poverty. When Elvis was 3 years old, the family lost their home. His father was jailed for check forgery, and Elvis left with his mother to go live with relatives.
That is a tough childhood.
It's a rough start. The family attended a Pentecostal Assembly of God church, which is where Elvis was first moved by the music.
The
By the
devil's
Lord.
hips.
Them hips. He attended East Tupelo Consolidated School, where one day he impressed his school teacher with a rendition of Red Foley's country song, Old Shep.
Which I
During-
assume is about a dog.
Oh,
Probably.
Yeah, it's gotta be. During morning prayers. And he was thus encouraged to enter a singing contest. The contest was held at the Mississippi Alabama Fair and Dairy Show on October 3rd, 1945.
Nice.
Elvis was 10 years old, dressed as a cowboy, and had to stand on a chair to reach the microphone.
Okay, well,
precious
that's
baby.
precious.
Yes.
And relatable still in my 30s.
Even more relatable.
Standing on a chair dressed like a cowboy,
Yes, to reach
Just
the
10 years
microphone.
screaming into a microphone.
screaming Old Shep.
It could be me.
So
Also-
relatable.
Relatable. He placed 5th.
Oh, God.
I'm assuming out of 5.
There were 4 yodelers. It was a tough crowd.
It
Really
was a
tough.
toss-up.
You should have sang a tribute to Dairy. Read the room, Elvis.
Maybe Old Shep was a sheep.
Was Elvis his real given name?
Yes, Elvis Aaron Presley.
Wow.
Yeah. This was before the days of nom de
Changing your name.
plumes, I think. A few months later, on his birthday, he was disappointed to receive a guitar as a gift because he had wanted a rifle.
I mean, building a career out of a disappointing gift is such a mood.
It's such a mood.
Yeah.
And sort of what we did.
Yeah.
Changing the world with a disappointing
Pointing
birthday
gift.
gift.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So he got some lessons from uncles and randos, but he was very shy about singing in public. By 6th grade at a new school, Elvis was considered a, quote, trashy mama's boy loner.
Oh.
He brought his guitar to school and played and kind of sang quietly during lunchtime. One of his classmates was the younger brother of a local radio DJ named Mississippi Slim, with whom
Definitely
Elvis
heard
was-
of this.
Elvis was infatuated with this guy. So the classmate introduced the two, and Elvis scored an on-air performance on this radio program at 12 years old. In 1948, the family moved to Memphis, right?
Yep.
Memphis.
Memphis.
Yes. And scored a 2-bedroom apartment in a public housing complex called Lauderdale Courts. At his new school, Elvis's 8th grade music teacher gave him a C. The next day,
Also relatable.
to show her up, he brought his guitar in and sang "Keep Them Cold Icy Fingers Off Me," which was, I guess, like a popular tune at the time.
I like it.
To prove her wrong.
Feels spooky.
Also, I have really poor circulation, so I constantly have cold, icy fingers.
I just have really clammy hands. So
I'm
honestly,
sweating.
if COVID can totally end the practice of handshaking, I would be thrilled.
Fine with it.
Yeah.
We need to just bow
new day.
like other developed countries.
I'd be
Right?
fine with the elbow thing, honestly.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a little dorky, but I'll take it.
It's fine. So this teacher said she just didn't like his style of singing. And as far as I could tell, he ended up failing that class.
Well, that's a great teacher.
It was the 50s. Well, it was the 40s.
That's how grading works.
Yeah. In 1950, he made friends with a few older neighbor boys, and they began playing they kind of formed their own group, and they began performing around the courts, as in the Lauderdale courts.
As in the housing complex.
Yes. During his junior year, Elvis grew out his sideburns and began styling his hair with rose oil and Vaseline, my
Nice.
favorite, my lifeblood. He would go down to Beale Street, ever heard of it, to observe the blues scene and flashy clothing in the store windows. And I guess he kind of made friends with B.B. King in
Yep.
these days, which was kind of cool.
That's
So
badass.
he just went for it. Everybody told him he wasn't shit. He came from nothing, and he was like, fuck it, whatever. Look at these sideburns.
Look at these fucking burns, man.
Look at these fucking burns, man. And I've got this crappy guitar. I'm going to become Elvis.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's already legally Elvis Presley.
Right.
It's cray. So he entered a talent show towards the end of his high school career and fucking rocked it. And a bunch of his classmates were at this talent show. So he became real popular after that. So he ended his high school career in a blaze of glory. In August 1953, Elvis went to the offices of Sun Records in Memphis to record his own little two-sided record, just those little guys you can just could go record yourself, as a gift for his mother.
Oh, Gladys Love.
Gladys Love. He really kind of was a mama's boy.
Yeah.
They had a very tight relationship.
That's all right.
Oh, yeah. I'm a mama's girl.
Yeah.
Anyway, he also probably hoped to get noticed by record executives because Sun Records was also the first to record big names like Roy Orbison, Johnny Cash, and Jerry Lee Lewis. So it had a reputation of just go in there
Finding
and
some big names.
maybe the execs will.
Right.
Gotcha.
Back in the day when you could just send
Walk
a
in.
mixtape or walk into a recording studio and be like, listen to me. And they'd be like, sure, what else are we doing right now?
Well, that's literally what happened. He was noticed by Sun boss Sam Phillips, who asked the receptionist to note the guy's name. And she wrote Elvis Presley and then underneath good ballad singer.
Nice.
So I think they still have that note somewhere, which
I
is kind of
think
cool.
Elvis is going to make it, you guys.
I have a
Jury's
sneaky
still out.
suspicion. So back to kind of what Kenyon was saying, I think because Elvis was never taught formally and he also couldn't read music, he just memorized stuff really quickly.
Right.
Plus because of racist reasons, his music was really heavily influenced by black gospel music and jazz, R&B, that traditionally black sounds.
Well, he was like the bridge he was like the white guy that took black music and cultural influences into the white mainstream.
Correct. Also, given the neighborhoods that he lived in were predominantly black, I think that on the surface, people looked down on him. They're just like, oh, it's just taking all this black culture. Where is this going to go? He was frequently told that he sucked. And the apparent motivations behind the labels that were interested in him were pretty gross. According to the Sun receptionist, the one that wrote the note, she says, over and over, I remember Sam saying, if I could find a white man, this is a quote, remember, if I could find a white man who had the Negro sound and the Negro feel, I could make $1 billion.
Yep. I mean,
Well, he's not wrong.
yeah, we can't sit here and deny that Elvis's career was a form of cultural appropriation and a white accessible version of the black sound.
That's 100% what it was.
Yeah.
Right.
So in
also,
the end,
like, not alone. First, but of many. Of many.
I think first-ish, and also just by far the most famous first one. In the end, Elvis's sound, style, whiteness, and also the emotion that he could tap into in his music, which I'm certain drew from that choir gospel, very
Upbringing,
emotional
influence.
music. All of this shaped up to commercial success. In 1956, RCA released Elvis's self-titled debut album, and it pretty much went down in history as defining the evolving sound of rock and roll. 3 of the songs were covers of black artists, Little Richard, Ray Charles, and the Drifters.
Ever heard of them?
Ever heard of them? A quote from critic Robert Hilburn says, These 3 songs were the most revealing of all. Unlike many white artists who watered down the gritty edges of original R&B versions of songs in the 50s, Presley reshaped them. He not only injected the tunes with his own vocal character, but also made guitar, not piano, the lead instrument in all 3 cases. So this really was like a sound that had not been heard before.
So he took R&B and instead of watering it down and making it like white folk music, he like ramped it up and made it like
rock and roll.
White rock and roll music.
Instead of what had been commonly accepted as like adapted for the white palate, meaning watered down, just more accessible, something that like the parents would be okay with.
Right.
He took it the other way.
Jazzed it up.
He jazzed it up.
Jizzed it up, if you will.
It was everywhere. It went all over the place.
He cracked a blanket in half.
Don't bring a black light around this album.
Do not.
The album was the first rock and roll album to top the Billboard charts. Or chart. I guess there was only one chart at the time. Clearly, the world was not ready for Elvis Aaron Presley. Later in 1956...
The white world certainly wasn't.
Right. He began a 2-week Vegas residency that was quite poorly received by the middle-aged conservative hotel guests. According to one critic, it was, quote, like a jug of corn liquor at a champagne party.
I want that written on my tombstone.
It's your epitaph. You are the jug of corn liquor.
That's me. I'm a jug of corn liquor at a champagne party.
You have a gutter palate.
Yep.
Yeah. At this time, he decided that he also wanted to become an actor, so he, being a fucking moron, signed a 7-year contract with Paramount Pictures.
Oh, jeez.
No.
Who is your lawyer? Julian, get in touch with Elvis.
God. If only he had Julian at the time. After Vegas, Elvis toured the Midwest, like a fucking grueling tour, like one show every day for like over 2 weeks, which we know.
We would
not
disintegrate into actual dust and fly away into the air.
We very nearly did last summer.
Yep.
So during this time, he decided that he really liked to close his shows with a cover of Big Mama Thornton's Hound Dog.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that song is also a cover. Oh, most of his songs were like covered. Like he didn't write his own song. After a show in La Crosse, Wisconsin, this is so great. An urgent message on the letterhead of the local Catholic diocese newspaper was sent to FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover.
Oh, yes.
Could you get any more pearl clutching
Oh, listen.
than that sentence?
Listen.
It's so good.
It warned that, quote, Presley is a definite danger to the security of the United States. His actions and motions were such as to rouse the sexual passions of teenaged youth. After the show, more than 1,000 teenagers tried to gang into Presley's room at the auditorium. Indications of the harm Presley did just in La Crosse were the 2 high school girls whose abdomen and thigh had Presley's autograph.
Oh, my God.
I mean, we signed tits and ass on our tour, and we're
I signed
ass.
For
a
sure.
lot of butts.
Also, you can suck it, Catholic diocese. You were like definitely diddling little boys at this point anyway.
yeah.
So how
Yeah.
dare you?
Their main objection was how old the girls were.
Exactly.
That they were girls.
Sorry, that was horrible. That was a horrible joke, and I'm sorry.
Okay. This is from Wikipedia. The famous Milton Berle show appearance came on June 5th at NBC's Hollywood studio amid another hectic tour. Berle persuaded Presley to leave his guitar backstage, advising, "Let him see you, son."
Let him see that sock shoved down your pants, son.
We'll get to it. During the performance, Presley abruptly halted an up-tempo rendition of Hound Dog with a wave of his arm and launched into a slow, grinding version accentuated with energetic, exaggerated body movements.
Yes.
I'm kind of turned on by Lucy's academic description of Elvis's dancing.
This is, again, lifted from Wikipedia. This was a crowdsourced description.
Well, I'm into it.
Presley's gyrations created a storm of controversy. Television critics were outraged. Jack Gould of the New York Times wrote, quote, "Mr. Presley has no discernible singing ability. His phrasing, if it can be called that, consists of the stereotyped variations that go with a beginner's aria in a bathtub." His one specialty is an accented movement of the body, primarily identified with the repertoire of the blonde bombshells of the burlesque runway.
Yeah. Is not wrong. Everybody loves some gyrating hips.
Yeah,
male, female,
and
or anything in between.
What's your point, Mr. Gould?
Yeah.
Yeah, we get it. We like it.
We love it.
Yeah. Ben Gross of the New York Daily News opined that popular music, quote, has reached its lowest depths in the grunt and groin antics of one Elvis Presley.
Oh, just wait, New York Daily News.
I feel like this is the decades before us version of, who is it, Ben Shapiro, like criticizing the wet ass P word song.
Oh my God. The WAP or WAP, whatever.
The WAP backlash.
Let's go with WAP. The
WAP.
Waplash.
So
stupid.
the Waplash is fucking hysterical, and I love it, and I'm so here for it.
Yep.
It's like these people have never heard songs before.
Well, certainly not
Music.
songs sung by like powerful women of color taking control of their bodily autonomy. That's for goddamn sure.
But like, albeit
did you
rare,
not listen
still
to-
not the first time that's happened either. It's like,
Too
where
Close
have you
by
been?
Next is literally a 90s R&B song about a guy getting a boner in a club and like poking his dance partner with it.
Get dancing kind of
Close.
That played on the radio, on my shower radio as I got ready for like ninth grade every morning, and I sang it in the shower with no idea what I was talking about.
I had no idea what any of it was.
Yep.
Peaches and cream.
Oh, gonna take it to the
Fantasy.
candy shop.
fantasy. God.
You couldn't sit in the back row of the school bus if you didn't know every single syllable and grunt in fantasy.
Oh, I could have sat in the back.
Oh yeah.
You were like quizzed. I quizzed people before I let them sit.
There it is.
You're
The
such
fantasy
a
gatekeeper of the
dictator.
school bus.
A little bit.
Kenyon Lang.
Next.
Okay.
Wow.
Elvis, who rotates his pelvis, gave an exhibition that was suggestive and vulgar, tinged with the kind of animalism that should be confined to dives and bordellos. Ed Sullivan, whose own variety show was the nation's most popular, declared him, quote, unfit for family viewing.
Ish.
Spoke too soon, Mr. Sullivan.
Yup.
To Presley's displeasure, he soon found himself being referred to as Elvis the Pelvis,
Yes.
which he called, quote, one of the most childish expressions I ever heard coming from an adult.
So he probably wouldn't like that I named my Elvis bust Pelvis Mesley.
Pelvis Mesley.
Because it's like disfigured and melting, and yes, I will include pictures for the blog. I have Velvis and Pelvis.
He also, he's a man, a white man who's being, sexually objectified, and it probably doesn't feel great.
It was great to me. All right. Ed Sullivan clearly went back on his word and decided he wanted some of this action. So he booked Elvis on his own show as well. But according to legend, the broadcast was only shot from the waist up. Watching clips Watching clips of previous broadcasts with his producer, like before Elvis's date to be on his show, Sullivan had opined that Presley, quote, got some kind of device hanging down below the crotch of his pants. So when he moves, so when he moves his legs back and forth, you can see the outline of his cock. I think it's a Coke bottle. We just can't have this on a Sunday night. This is a family show.
Maybe it's just his big cock.
It might just be his dick.
It really might just be his
There's
dick.
no way to know.
Sullivan publicly told TV Guide, quote, as for his gyrations, the whole thing can be controlled with camera shots. So, in fact, Presley was shown head to toe in the first and second show. There were 2 shows. Though the camera work was relatively discreet during his debut with leg-concealing close-ups when he danced, the studio audience reacted in customary style, screaming. So most of it...
like fainting and losing their shit.
So as soon as he started the gyrating, that's when
they would zoom in.
But that's when the screaming started. Presley's performance of his forthcoming single, the ballad Love Me Tender.
Love me chicken tenders.
Yum. I had chicken tenders for dinner last night. Prompted a record-shattering million advance orders. More than any other single event, it was this first appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show that made Presley a national celebrity of barely precedented proportions.
Wow.
Damn.
So that backfired, Ed Sullivan.
Yeah, suck it, Sullivan.
Even Frank Sinatra hated him. In a magazine article, he decried rock and roll as, quote, brutal, ugly, degenerate, vicious. It fosters almost totally negative and destructive reactions in young people. It smells phony and false. It is sung, played, and written, for the most part, by cretinous goons. This rancid-smelling aphrodisiac I deplore.
Old Blue Eyes was also like a horrible monster.
Wasn't he like
so
Nazi-ish, like Nazi adjacent?
No,
like super
he was,
racist.
Well,
and like probably
in the
also
mob,
sexual assault allegations.
connected, definitely like a rapist.
I mean, luck be a lady tonight.
Also, like,
I'm singing
couldn't
it.
actually sing that well. If we're gonna get into it,
I beg to differ.
I disagree with that.
no,
but
I mean, like, I love his music, but not because he's like the best singer.
Well, no,
Sure.
that's subjective.
Yeah.
Amanda and I both went through a very deep Frank Sinatra phase.
I never really
I'm
got
still in
out
it,
of it, to
honestly.
be perfectly honest. I just now recognize that
Super problematic.
a lot of, especially like white musicians of that time, were fucking awful
Oh, yeah.
people.
Yeah. Especially Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. In 1958, Elvis was drafted into the U.S. Army as a private part and was deployed to Friedberg, Germany on October 1st. His sergeant introduced him to amphetamines, and he was all fucking about them.
Yep.
Because, like, energy, strength, weight loss, what's not to love?
Honestly, if I was crafty enough to get my hands on them,
No.
sounds great.
No.
If they were, like, super ubiquitous and, like, basically free like they were in, like, the 50s.
Yeah. If I could just buy them over the counter.
If I were a housewife stuck at home in just a waking nightmare of a life, yeah, I'd get fucked up every day.
Yeah. I have to vacuum every day. It's a lot.
Amphetamines.
I'm exhausted.
Amphetamines
after
in the morning, gin in the afternoon.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, to cool down. You need your
To
cool
balance
down.
out.
Right.
Okay, but actually, that's a horrible substance abuse issue. Anyway, apparently he was super nice to his fellow troops and did not come off as a pompous celebrity, which could also have been a PR move. But also, I think that at least at the beginning, he was a regular
guy. He also hadn't been like famous for that
Yeah.
long, and he
Right.
came from like really humble.
Yeah, I think he was at this point in his life just a genuinely nice guy. While in Germany, here we go. While in Germany, he met and fell in love with 14-year-old Priscilla Beaulieu. So there's that too. 7.5
I forgot about that.
7.5 years
Forgot
later.
how young
Yeah, she's
she
fucking
was.
14. 7.5 years later, they married, so she was 21 and a half. when they married. During his 2-year military stint, Elvis churned out 10 top 40 hits during his deployment. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. When he got back, he started making shitloads of mostly low-budget musical comedy films. Back to that 7-year contract with Paramount.
Viva Las Vegas.
Yep.
So
All
good.
of them. He made 27 films in the 1960s.
Wow.
He needed the amphetamine.
Right? During this time, he gave no public performances like of his music, so people kind of saw him as like washed up, like a sellout. He kind of had he wasn't super popular anymore. After the birth of his daughter Lisa Marie in 1968, Elvis made a comeback, mostly in Las Vegas and mostly while wearing his signature increasingly gaudy outfits. He was also like increasingly like patriotic, so he thought that these like spangled eagles on like his white jacket, that was like an homage to his country.
Las Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know who his stylist was. I'm afraid it was himself.
Priscilla.
Yeah.
His baby daughter.
Joint effort.
By October 1973, he had been divorced and his health was in major and serious decline. Twice during the year, he overdosed on barbiturates, spending 3 days in a coma in his hotel suite after the first incident. Towards the end of 1973, he was hospitalized, semi-comatose from the effects of a pethidine addiction. I don't know what that is.
Oof.
According to his primary care physician, Dr. George C. Nikopoulos, who is a dick, Presley, quote, felt that by getting drugs from a doctor, he wasn't the common everyday junkie getting something off the street. So he was like validated.
Yep.
As a precursor to the modern opioid epidemic.
Since his comeback, he had staged more live shows with each passing year, and 1973 saw 168 concerts, which was his busiest schedule ever.
That is a lot of work.
Amphetamines.
My mom had tickets to one of the last concerts that he did.
Oh, wow.
And she couldn't go because I think her friend needed a babysitter and like, could not
Leave
find
the baby
one.
home alone.
Oh, your mom's a good person.
Oh.
And my mom was like, oh, I'll see him next time. Probably because he was doing so many shows. It didn't seem like
this would be the last.
She keep the stub,
so
the ticket.
Yeah. So she gave away her tickets and babysat for her friend.
Wow. That friend owes her big time.
Biggest
Is it
regret
Chris?
of her life.
No.
Obviously, it's not Chris. But.
Chris was probably like, Kay, and went to the
and went to the show. Bummer you can't come.
Bye. She would.
Totally.
I fucking love Chris. Okay.
I fucking love her.
Despite his failing health in 1974, he undertook another intensive touring schedule. Guitarist John Wilkinson recalled, quote, he was all gut, which like, excuse you.
Oof.
Yeah.
He was all gut. He was
Relatable.
slurring. He was so fucked up. It was obvious he was drugged. It was obvious there was something terribly wrong with his body. It was so bad that the words to the songs were barely intelligible. I remember crying. He could barely get through the introductions.
It's so sad
That
when
is-
people this talented, like, we make jokes about drugs and whatever, but like, ultimately, it's not funny. And it's just him and Whitney Houston,
Prince.
man. It's just
Yeah.
Prince. It's so sad.
And so preventable.
So Elvis died on August 16th, 1977. Immediate reports denied drugs playing a role, but we all know that was fucking bullshit. But one later report by 2 different labs reported 14 drugs in his system, 10 in significant quantity.
Wow.
That is a cocktail.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Well, okay, so another thing that I read was that doctor that I said was a dick. In like 1 year alone, I think it was 74, but I'm not sure, he prescribed something like 10,000 doses of various amphetamines, sedatives, all sorts of shit.
Jesus,
He
Joe.
Michael Jackson to this dude.
Oh, yeah. 1,000%.
Exact same thing.
So over the past 4 decades, fans across North America have insisted they have spotted Presley out and about. In 1989, 3 so-called Elvis enthusiasts even created the Elvis Sighting Society to monitor these apparent incidents.
It's like a UFO
Totally
coalition,
is.
but for Elvis.
or like Bigfoot.
Some people even claimed he appeared as an extra in the 1990 blockbuster Home Alone.
I mean,
Donald Trump did.
He did.
Oh no, that was
Ugh,
Lost
I
in New
stand
York.
by
Never
it.
mind. Or Home Alone Lost in New York.
Home Alone
Alone
2.
2.
Yeah.
Some believe he was connected to the mafia and had to fake his own death because he was going to get killed. There's so much weird shit about this man's life. I couldn't get into it, but there was like he came this close to like putting out a hit on somebody. At one point, he like met Nixon and like asked to be appointed a special agent of some sort. He's just fucking weird.
If he had existed now, he'd be like sitting on the Supreme Court.
Oh yeah, 1,000%.
We should be so lucky.
Yeah, really.
I know, right?
Some believe.
The person we're going to get is a 38-year-old devout Catholic.
I can't.
I can't.
Okay.
Evangelical Christian.
We're in a happy place. This is Elizabeth's happy episode. Some believe he was hidden away by the FBI. Some quote-unquote proof points to his middle name, Aaron, which on his birth certificate is spelled A-R-O-N, but it's spelled A-A-R-O-N on his tombstone.
Oh.
But someone, like his autobiographer or something, said that he, in fact, just kind of changed it in his life to 2 A's.
Well, yeah.
Into the more
double
popular
A
spelling.
is the more common spelling.
Yeah.
And he was born
probably
into
just-
poverty, and I guess like his parents probably like weren't like all that.
One of my
literate.
good friends is
Well,
Aaron.
who knows? He was also probably just annoyed with having it be misspelled all the fucking
Yeah.
times. So he was like, fine, it's Aaron.
It was also
Double A,
It was
whatever.
also the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Like they probably didn't really care that much.
It's all handwritten.
One of my good friends is named Aaron, but it's E-R-O-N, so we call him Eron. So a vast majority of Americans believe Presley did in fact die in 1977. A Gallup poll conducted in 1997 found that only 4% of Americans thought that he was still alive, while 93% of those surveyed were pretty fucking sure he was dead because he's fucking dead.
I love that this even needed
To
a
be
Gallup
polled.
poll.
This was, do you not remember that this was a big conspiracy theory for a long
Oh, yeah.
time.
Oh,
Back
for
in the
sure.
before times. Like
This rivals like the Tupac conspiracy as
Oh,
the
yeah.
original are they alive or dead conspiracy.
yeah, I feel like
It's
there
just
were
funny to
lots
me.
of like Inquirer covers.
I think
Oh,
there was
yeah.
something, the
Yeah.
fact that he died on the toilet made some people really suspicious about it. But also, he died technically of some sort of arrhythmia heart attack situation. And when that happens, you do frequently have to shit really bad while you're having a heart attack. So a lot of people do die on the toilet for that reason.
Also, think about how much time you spend on the toilet. Like
A
it's
lot.
Pretty likely that you're gonna die
A
on
solid
the toilet.
30% of my
Writing
waking
my
hours.
novel on the
Yeah.
toilet.
Last but not least, I have a fun fact. The quote, Elvis has left the building, is a phrase that was often used by public address announcers at the conclusion of Elvis Presley concerts in order to disperse audiences who lingered in hopes of an encore.
That makes sense.
It really
So it's
does.
like, fucking go home. He's gone. Bye.
Yep.
Yeah,
He has left
it's done.
Yeah.
the
so that
building.
is my segment.
Well,
I love
very
it.
interesting.
Thanks.
Well done, honey.
I have a quick
Oh,
anecdote.
Jesus.
Yes.
So when I was a like little kid, like toddler, barely speaking in sentences, I could always identify like Elvis songs on the radio. And we also had, my family isn't like normally like into this type of shit, but we had like Elvis hand towels in the
You had
bathroom.
that Elvis clock where
Lots-
the legs went.
We had a lot of Elvis
Yeah.
stuff for some reason. And when I was a little kid, I could always tell if it was an Elvis song on the radio. And my mom was like, how do you know that it's him? I was like 2 or 3 years old.
Because I
And
have
I
ears.
said, when it's. What?
Because I have ears.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, whatever.
A toddler.
So, yeah, it's a lot. So I was like, when it's another song, one foot taps. But when it's an Elvis song, both my feet tap.
That's really cute.
That's so cute and true.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
So anyway,
Perfect.
early Elvis fan.
tap right into
Amazing.
a word from our sponsors.
Let's do
Yes,
it.
let's.
Are we ready for my case?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I want to open with a quote from the South Florida Sun Sentinel newspaper because
Your favorite
it is,
newspaper.
It is definitely my favorite paper of record, and it's perfection, this quote.
I'm going to get you a subscription to this as a housewarming gift that goes to your house in
Do it.
Kentucky.
The blotter is
I
probably
would
amazing.
completely start every day cracking
Reading
open my
The
Sun
South
Sentinel.
Florida Sun Sentinel.
Giving it that good shake.
I line all my drawers with it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, quote. At 5 feet 8 inches and about 236 pounds, Conley, who will turn 42 on Tuesday, does not much resemble Presley, unless it was the king's final bloated years.
Oh, shots fired. All right, here we go.
You're not wrong, but like, come on.
Mean.
The guy changed the world.
Sure, but not this guy. So
This guy.
This refers to Elvis impersonator Michael James Conley, some would say, obsessive Elvis Presley impersonator. And there are a lot of them.
Amazing.
There are the flying Elvi. They're like
Oh,
Elvis
yeah.
impersonators that jump out of airplanes.
The skydivers.
I've gone and
I
seen
love
them in person. Again,
Amazing.
my family, Elvis. We went and saw the
They
flying
did it
Elvi.
in they were in Shakopee one time.
Yeah, we
I think I
went.
went with you.
You definitely went with us and Scott.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was fun.
Okay. In the 1970s, Conley went by the alias Mike Ellis, or sometimes Elvis Conley, but he wasn't fooling anyone, and headlined the creatively named band, The Mike Ellis Show. The group performed Elvis songs at hotels and other businesses in vacation hotspots like Las Vegas and Fort Lauderdale. So he didn't really have the Elvis look, but according to some, he did have the voice, or close enough. So in marketing materials for the band, Conley billed himself as, quote, the closest living voice to Elvis.
That's funny
Come
because
on.
my guy also goes by that.
Really?
Like uses that on his website. Yeah.
Oh, God.
So I think that's pretty common among Elvis
the
impersonators
closest living voice to
to
Elvis.
self-proclaim. Yeah.
Conley could personally identify with some of the King's music, in particular the hit song Jailhouse Rock.
Oh, geez.
Because Conley was previously in prison in Connecticut for attempted manslaughter
Oh, good.
after shooting his former bandmate and drummer in the head.
Yikes.
Wow.
Yeah.
What,
Don't
that
start a
he did
band.
not die?
The guy survived.
Hence attempted.
Attempted.
Yeah, but also the head. I wanted to clarify.
Yeah. Guy survived. I looked into it. I thought maybe there was like an argument or a fight. No. Sounds like it was robbery
Oh, geez.
of his own drummer.
Come on.
Think he's going to have more money than you?
I don't know.
Right? How rich is your drummer?
Yeah. So, Conley was in the middle of serving a 10-year sentence for this crime when, in April 1987, he escaped by walking off during a work release program and going on the lam. Now, at the time of this case, it's about 10 months after this daring escape. And
This daring walk off in broad daylight because nobody's
Yeah.
paying attention to you.
You're daring us.
this daring escape of you weren't being monitored at work, so you just walked away.
Yep.
So he somehow appears to have returned to using his Mike Ellis alias, even though that's
Okay,
like a
his
known
Mike alias.
alias of his.
Got it.
I don't understand it. Maybe he had like access to like some IDs about, I don't know.
There's
But
got to be some reason to go back to that name, but
Right.
He
there's
just
no way to
liked it
know.
a lot.
He liked it a lot. And he also went back to his Elvis impersonating ways. Couldn't get away.
How else is he going to
He
make a
don't
living?
want to blend in.
No, he couldn't. It's his life being Elvis, man.
It's his life's work. It's his passion.
Yeah. So
passion.
he's a wanted criminal. He's a prison escapee. Goes right back to exactly his old life. Clearly, Elvis impersonation was not paying the bills, however, for Conley, because investigators would later say that robbery was the motive for his next heinous crime. On March 2nd, 1988, he checked into the Ocean Holiday Resort Motel at 205 North Atlantic Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale.
I'm pretty sure we stayed there.
Yep, definitely. That was like our budget. That was like the level of our budget on tour.
Sharing one bed
At the
at
Ocean
the Ocean
Holiday Resort
Motel.
It was humid.
It was humid.
So he checked in using the Mike Ellis alias, and he's also with him is a 19-year-old companion named Brian Bush.
Ooh.
Brian Barbara Bush.
Barbara
Barbara
Bush.
Bush, who doesn't blink.
Also going by the alias Brian. To blend in.
B. Bush.
B. Bush.
Beat the bush.
So the teen was a runaway and was known by authorities to be a, quote, street hustler. So basically he would pose as a gay sex worker in order to rob Johns, and then they wouldn't report
Right.
the crimes because
Homophobia and
of
shame and all
homophobia,
that
and
shit.
it's the 80s. So apparently when the pair checked into the motel, Conley bragged about his Elvis alter ego to the motel manager.
This guy
and
is so stupid.
and even gave him a tape with 2 of his songs recorded on it.
Here's my mixtape.
The manager probably could have done with a little less conversation.
Nice. This is very Avril Lavigne episode of you.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of my favorite Elvis songs. I have the Elvis XM station like bookmarked in my
it's so
car.
good. Yeah.
I fucking love Elvis.
So, on this trip, it's unclear how Conley first encountered Charles Koralik, who went by the nickname Chick.
Okay.
Charles was a 39-year-old Canadian businessman and tourist who was just visiting Fort Lauderdale. I believe they just happened to all be staying at the same motel. Charles was checked into that same motel and had his own room. But it's also possible that Chick was lured there by Brian Bush and then got his own room. We don't know. However it all started, it didn't end well. The next day, Chick Koralik was found shot to death in his second-floor motel room. His credit cards and around $4,500 in cash and traveler's checks were also missing.
It's wild how people. What year was this?
This was 88.
80s. It is wild how much cash people used to travel with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also wild that we are this old that when I went on my tour around the world fellowship after college, my mother insisted on sending me with traveler's checks.
Right.
I brought traveler's checks when we went to Europe.
Yeah.
In 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
Back when you needed a money
Traveler's
belt.
checks.
Mm-hmm.
Had a money
I
belt.
had a money belt.
Yep. And that was like the cusp because I remember having to go to this one bank at the main train station in Amsterdam to exchange them. Nowhere else would exchange them. And I remember being like, this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah. Why can't I just have some sort of card that works everywhere?
Yeah.
Right.
And then
Or
voila.
those international calling cards
yeah.
that you had to buy to use the payphone.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those were the days.
And after my purse was stolen.
Oof.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, okay. So, suspicious minds pointed to the
Open eyes. Awareness pointed.
pointed to the ex-con who was now nowhere to be found. He and Bush had already checked out of the motel in a hurry. But
Oh, my
investigators were able to match Conley's fingerprints from a piece of paper with Elvis song lyrics on it.
Oh my God. You'd be like, why don't you just leave your name, address, social
Calling
security
card.
number? Yeah.
List of aliases.
Your international calling card.
Yeah. Social.
They figured out it belonged to a U.S. mail.
So he had left a piece of paper with Elvis song lyrics on it with the motel manager along with his like demo.
Well, yeah, he's still
is
promoting.
obsessed.
The hustle is real.
And so they took the fingerprints from that piece of paper and they matched them with fingerprints on glassware and bottles in Chick's room.
Yep.
So Conley and Bush had gone on what can only be described as an Elvis-themed pilgrimage across the United States.
I mean, if you're going to go down hailing one of your idols, I guess.
First stop, where else?
Graceland.
Graceland! I'm going to Graceland.
Memphis,
baby.
Tennessee.
I'm going
I'm
to
going to Graceland.
Oh my God.
They literally went to Graceland, where Conley booked out time at the Graceland studios, recording
To
studios.
record himself as Elvis.
To record himself as Elvis,
Yes. Okay, good.
using his victim's name and credit card.
No.
Oh, this is so dark, but like kind of incredible.
It's so stupid.
It's so
so
stupid. He
stupid.
It's
literally
just a trail.
Yeah. Oh, he signed in under artist name. He said Chick or Charles Korolick. And then he
Wow.
used Charles's credit card.
I know you hear this all the time, but I just want half the confidence of a mediocre white man.
Yeah.
And I'd be
what
in a
you
totally
imagine.
different stratosphere.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah.
run the world.
Good
So,
Lord.
Literally run the world.
Yep.
Police would later recover a demo tape of Conley's rendition of Are You Lonesome Tonight? As well as the damning credit card receipt in Korolick's name, and this would be key evidence at his trial.
I hope he was also just awful.
Apparently, he wasn't that bad.
Oh no. Can't we have anything?
No.
Then, just 2 days after the murder, Conley attempted to use one of the stolen credit cards again to purchase camera equipment at a store in Viva Las Vegas.
Oh, good.
Oh God.
Literally Graceland to Vegas. I
Yep.
just love it. So finally, on April 1st, Only Fools Rush In Day.
Okay.
Move
These
along.
things are a little bit of a stretch.
Okay, there's a lot more.
Okay.
Police in Las
Color
Vegas.
me not shocked.
Police in Las Vegas spotted the stolen Lincoln Continental that the pair
Yep.
were driving that they'd stolen
Of
in
course.
Tennessee.
Of fucking course they were.
They surrounded the Heartbreak Hotel and managed to apprehend Bush, but Conley slipped away yet again.
No! How?
Mm-hmm.
What a big ol' hunk of bullshit.
Ugh.
Bush was released after questioning, probably because he just told them everything. He
Yeah.
just hears
Yep.
everything.
I'm not gonna go down like this.
Yeah. Later, Bush would become the state's chief witness against Conley. Then, in August 1988, an anonymous tip believed to have been placed by Conley's ex-girlfriend,
Yes.
Priscilla, led police to track Conley down in New Canaan, Connecticut, where he
Back
was
to his roots.
where he was arrested and extradited back to Florida to face first-degree murder charges.
Wow.
Do not want to face first-degree murder charges in Florida in the 80s.
No. Or now.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure they still use the electric chair
Yep.
at that time.
At the time, it was on the table.
Yikes.
Conley continued to proclaim his innocence, blaming the murder on Brian Bush, but admitted that he had disposed of the murder weapon, a .38 caliber revolver, by tossing it off of a fishing pier in Pompano Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Divers searched for the gun, but it was never retrieved. So, while Conley denied guilt, according to Fort Lauderdale detective Phil Mundy, the wannabe Elvis, quote, sang like a bird.
Like a canary.
Of course, this comment may have been more literal than metaphorical. Apparently, as police drove him to jail, the crooner, quote, entertained them with song
Oh, good.
in the cop car.
Oh,
Good.
no. Put the spit hood on him already.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. The, quote, beefy and, quote, affable murderer. That's how he was described in, like, numerous articles.
Beefy and affable.
And affable.
I'll take it.
Ooh.
I mean, I've been described as worse.
Yep.
That's my epitaph.
Yep.
Beefy and affable.
Beefy and affable.
He also kept up this act throughout his trial, often breaking into Elvis songs for the judge and jury.
I'm obsessed with this man.
I wish
Courtroom.
I could have sat in on this trial.
Can you imagine being a juror?
Oh,
A rural juror?
a rural juror. I'd be all shook up if it were me.
As the quote, as the camera whirred, the familiar dreamy baritone belted out a few bars of Did You Ever?
Oh, for
Quote,
God's sakes.
he's done about 4 songs for us, his greatest hits, said Channel 7 cameraman Jim Stevenson.
No. Oh, no.
Oh my God, I want to have been there.
Look at photos on the drive of this man.
Yes.
He doesn't look
Which will be on the blog.
anything like Elvis, which is
Nothing.
amazing. He looks like a potato, and his
that
glasses are
man?
too small for his
He
head.
looks like a potato in a suit, in like a
With the high and
Blues-
tight
in like a
army haircut.
Blues Brothers suit.
Yep.
Yeah, his mugshot is a frowning potato with glasses.
Tiny glasses.
Yeah,
Wow, this guy's got balls.
Yeah.
yeah. So sings throughout the trial. Unimpressed, the jury found Michael Conley guilty.
You don't say.
That's my favorite way to start a sentence.
Just unimpressed.
The jury found Michael Conley guilty, and he faced a sentence of either death by electric chair or a minimum of 25 years in prison.
They flipped a coin. It's Florida.
I couldn't, whatever, we'll get to it. Conley appealed the verdict, again pointing to Brian Bush as Korolick's real killer in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
His defense claimed that Bush had failed 3 polygraph tests. I don't know if that's true, but the defense said it. And had allegedly bragged to friends that he'd, quote, killed an F-bomb, homophobic slur, in Florida. Bush was never charged, so it seems like they either didn't have enough evidence against him or he provided enough evidence against Conley
Right.
to
Protect himself.
to save himself.
Mm-hmm.
So Bush,
It's weird that he was never even charged if that were the case.
he was never charged. I mean, Conley also had all of the physical evidence and the circumstantial evidence against him and the past record of manslaughter for literally shooting someone in the head.
Yeah.
Whereas like Bush was like, he
was just kind of along for the ride as far as
he was
anyone else
along for the
knew.
ride. He would rob people, but he didn't have like a violent record.
History, yeah.
Yeah.
But don't worry, this is the criminal justice system. And Conley is a white man. So
Thank God.
the king gets an encore. Elvis
No.
has not
No.
left the building yet.
Oh God.
Shockingly, Conley's conviction was overturned on a technicality in 1992.
Ugh.
Basically, the prosecution said some shit that they shouldn't have said, and it wasn't struck from the record, and the jury heard it, and whatever.
That's really fucked up.
I hate that.
He murdered someone.
Yep.
Yeah.
And attempted the
money.
murder of another
That's not
person.
even disputed.
For
That's
$4,500 to pay for his demo
Yeah.
tape.
gross. Ugh.
So his conviction gets overturned on a technicality. Maybe I couldn't figure it out. Maybe he was retried and then went to prison again, or maybe he did some other shit, or maybe he was still in prison for like stealing the car or other shit. I'm not sure. But he stays in prison until 1999.
Okay.
So he's only been in prison 9 years. Then, in 2012, he caught new charges. This time
great.
for damage to an electronic monitoring equipment, which that's pretty obvious. He was probably on parole and damaged
Took off his ankle bracelet or something.
or he could have damaged a CCTV camera.
Sure.
Grand Theft Auto, and my favorite, quote, use, hoax, weapon, mass destruction.
What?
What does that mean?
Pretending to have a weapon of mass destruction.
What the fuck was he doing?
So,
Use hoax.
use, hoax, weapon of mass destruction.
Wow.
The retired entertainer and his adult son sparked a 4-hour standoff with police, the FBI, and even a SWAT team
What the fuck?
after authorities tried to apprehend him for a stolen vehicle that they'd spotted in the parking lot of the America's Best Value Inn off Interstate 95, where he
Oh
was
my
staying.
God. Yep.
Airport Hojo.
Yeah. By the airport! The 300-pound Conley blocked the door and refused to come out of his room. Then, to prevent the police from kicking in the door, Conley yelled out that he had ricin,
No.
Dude.
a powerful
no.
poison, just a few grains of which could kill a person, as we all know from Breaking Bad.
Yep.
Flash news, he did not have ricin. He
Yeah.
had salt,
Beans.
common table salt.
Table beans.
It does look like
Yep.
ricin. Also, I thought I read that ricin was like mailed to the White House last week. or
Yeah, by
something
a
like
lady in
that.
Canada.
Yeah, there have been a lot of attempted ricin attacks.
Eh.
He also tried to blame the incident on his type 2 diabetes,
Wow.
claiming that his blood sugar was low, which caused him to be disoriented or all shook up.
Got it.
And it wasn't until his son cooked him some oatmeal in the hotel room that he regained his senses.
Maybe that's been Amanda's problem for the last 12 years.
I mean, yes. Considering I've had diabetes for almost 20 years,
Yeah.
it's at least been my problem for 12 years.
I was going to say like 16 and up.
Yeah, I was diagnosed when I was 12.
Yeah.
I was being nice.
Yeah.
I was being nice and.
Thanks.
So anyway, Michael Conley, the closest living voice to Elvis, is currently incarcerated, and that's probably for the best.
Yep.
Right.
And that's my case.
Chef's
Nice
kiss.
job.
What a journey.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I'm
I love
dizzy.
it.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear one more word from our sponsor, shall we?
Yes, let's. All right. This case is dumb and short, just like me. I don't know. It's so hot in here. Okay.
Just like me.
Me. So, Elvis impersonators and tribute concerts are a popular act worldwide. And one such event in the UK ended in a kerfuffle.
Oh, my favorite.
And since this occurred in the UK, you know what that means.
yes.
Time for
Geography!
some long overdue geography.
It's been a while.
So where this case took place is many kilometers south of Box.
It's hard to go
West.
south of Box.
I know, right? I don't
Box
like what's
is pretty
south
far
of Box.
south.
It's real far
Yeah.
south. West of Dungness. East of Praise and Beeble.
What the fuck, UK? What the fuck?
I don't know. And north of Studland.
Yes.
Oh. I want to have a bachelorette party. I'm married, but I would have a bachelorette party in Studland.
I'm going to Studland.
I'm going to
should all have
Graceland.
Yep. So in
have a
May of
bachelorette
2018,
party.
renowned Elvis impersonator Sean Klush was on tour and made, or it might be Klush. Let's go with
Pretty
Klush.
clutch.
I
Super
have no
Klush.
clue how to say that.
Yep. Was on tour and made a stop at the Pool Lighthouse Theater. And because I need to pad this very short case, here is a bit about Sean Klush from his website. Born
His
and
own
raised
website.
in the small coal mining town. Klush.com. Born and raised in the small coal mining town of Pittston, Pennsylvania, Sean's love for music led him to begin imitating his musical idol, Elvis Presley. He performed in the famous Poconos region, followed by a tour of Canada, where he entered and won the $5,000 prize of worldwide Elvis competition.
I mean, that's
Wow.
nothing to
Scoff at? No.
clutch at.
In Montreal is where he won that prize. This caught the attention of the award-winning Las Vegas show Legends in Concert, where for many years he starred as Elvis in their Myrtle Beach, Las Vegas, Branson, and Atlantic City showrooms.
Oh, those are all of our favorite places.
It's pretty true. Yep.
Didn't we hang out at Myrtle Beach?
I'm sure we did. I'm certain we did.
I thought we did.
Each January, he starts
Hollywood
in the Elvis birthday tribute tour, an extravaganza with Elvis's own musicians, singers, or stars in it, and friends. I have had wine in major venues in multiple cities. And Sean was a featured performer on The Late Show with David Letterman. Sean on The Late Show with David Letterman, performing to over 5 million viewers with the entire CBS orchestra on network television, and portrayed Elvis in HBO's Vinyl, produced by Martin Scorsese and Mick Jagger.
Okay, so
Wow.
that's actually some shit. I mean, he is
If you look on the drive, he brings it.
looks like him more than Conley does.
Yeah, there's a couple photos of him, and he has a photo with a watermark that says "The world's greatest Elvis."
Oh, yeah. I can see
Oh,
that.
he actually does look like him.
Yeah, he brings it.
coming hot off a Conley.
Yep. Yeah, seriously. Off of the Potato Man. I look like Elvis compared to Conley. So he certainly built a career for himself, traveling the world and bringing in audiences. The UK show attracted over 1,500 fans, and nearby another live event attracted about 700 people. A stage performance of thoroughly modern Millie. The Lighthouse is a center for the performing arts, so multiple shows will appear on their multiple stages, all housed within the building. So Thoroughly Modern Millie and this Elvis tribute show were going on at the same time and got out at about the same time.
Okay.
After-
What is Thoroughly Modern Millie?
It was a stage play adapted from the movie that starred Julie Andrews.
Okay.
So I haven't seen it.
It's a wholesome.
Got it.
It like pays tribute to the jazz era, I guess, but I've never seen it.
Okay.
So after both shows adjourned, theater goers and Elvis fans alike flooded into the first floor bar for post-show festivities. It was there that the incident occurred around 10:40 p.m. According to theater goer Norman Long, who later demanded a refund because the show was ruined for him, a small group
Okay, whatever. You've already seen the whole show. So
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know.
That's like eating your whole dinner and then asking for a refund
Yeah,
because it
pretty
was
much.
bad.
But he said that a small group of rowdy fans were drinking throughout the show and, quote, standing up and shouting all the time. Ain't nothing but a hound dog shouting all the time. That wasn't the quote. I just added that. But he did say shouting all the time. He continued to say, quote, I was looking forward to the night as I'm a huge Elvis fan and my daughter bought me tickets as an early Father's Day present.
Men are so hard to buy for.
Yes,
That's
they
so
really
sweet.
are. It is actually really sweet.
An Elvis tribute concert is
For Father's
like,
Day.
Yeah, I get it.
It's ultimate.
I got my dad a coupon to fly an airplane, just a little like Cessna for 45 minutes.
That's
and I
cute.
thought that was the best Christmas
Yeah.
gift. And he was like, unenthused,
What?
unimpressed.
That's a really good
Unimpressed.
gift.
Sean opened his Christmas gift.
When has your dad ever been enthused, though?
Just get
Except
him,
that
like,
one time he was dancing
canoe
around the kitchen
oil.
table with his crutches. That's the only time I've
Yeah.
ever seen him enthused.
I know. It's
God
hard.
bless him.
Anyway.
So,
Get him like a dead moose.
yeah. Get him a moose.
Oh, he'd love it because they didn't get any moose on their trip this last week.
You'll never hear the end of
Devastating.
it. So, according to this Norman fan, there were about 6 of them, like this rowdy group, and they were in and out of the bar during the performance. They were asked to sit down and be quiet as they were standing up and shouting. Then they pushed their way to get to the front of the stage when Elvis was giving out scarves.
Scarves.
They
I
were
want a
grabbing them
fucking
off him,
scarf.
and then they tried to steal some people's seats in the front row. So it sounds like a concert, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, people got rowdy.
Yeah.
I would shove to the front to get a scarf.
From an
I'll
Elvis
be honest.
impersonator for sure.
I got shushed by someone at an Iron and Wine concert.
Well, that's fair. You stand there
You're
in
also
silence.
a woo girl. You are a woo girl.
You got to stand there in silence. That's a fair one. You were wrong in that situation. Anyway, so there was one security guard next to the stage who told them to keep quiet and go back to their seats. But then he went back to the stage and the group were still noisy. Norman said the group really spoiled the evening and should have been thrown out long before the end of the concert. I'm ignoring her intentionally. Lighthouse Theater spokesman Susie Carver explained, quote, a small isolated incident broke out at the end of the evening between visitors to the theater.
I love your Memphis accent.
It's really good. Well, this takes place in the UK.
I know.
Keep up.
I was joking.
Police confirm a 55-year-old
It was a
man
joke.
from
She
Litchett
nailed
Minster was arrested on suspicion of assault. A 21-year-old woman, a 53-year-old woman, and a 20-year-old man were all arrested on suspicion of affray and assaulting a police officer.
Suspicion of affray.
I love that.
One theatergoer, a 56-year-old man, was injured in the incident with cuts to his face, severe bruising, and a shoulder injury that required transport by paramedics for medical treatment.
Oh, Lord.
It is not good. So it wasn't clear who exactly the rowdy bunch were. According to Metro News, quote, Celie Digby, 21, and her partner Kyle Flowers had gone with her mum, Susan, for a night out at the Lighthouse in Poole, Dorset. Police were called after a disturbance in which none of the trio were actually involved, during which Susan Digby was shoved to the floor. So the mom, the 53-year-old, was shoved to the floor. But when officers tried to arrest her for some fucking ungodly reason that we don't know, her daughter, Celie, grabbed a female officer by the forearm, scratching her skin, as Kyle Flowers, 20, kicked a male police officer.
So there was a literal kerfuffle.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Both were arrested for assault. Well, all of them were arrested for assaulting police, while Mrs. Digby was later charged with a public order offense for verbal abuse.
That's fucking
Verbal
bullshit
abuse.
because police are free to push
Yep.
and shove
And
and kick
instigate.
all they want. And then people you're in the moment, you're shocked and like taken aback. And
And
like,
your 53-year-old mother is being like
Yeah.
roughed up by the cops.
yeah.
And of course, if someone pushes you, you have the right
It's self-defense.
playground rules
or
to push them back.
even just, you know, sometimes in a crowd, like I've been in a situation where like in a protest where I'm just trying to like stand and I'm the first person in front of the police and somebody pushes behind me and pushes me into the police and then they push
punch
me
you in
to
the face
ground.
and arrest you. Yes.
Exactly. And it's like I'm just caught in the middle. I wasn't actually it's
I'm
fucking
walking
bullshit.
here.
Yeah.
I'm walking here.
Anyway.
I'm protesting here.
Yes, I'm protesting here.
I'm wooing at this Iron and Wine concert here.
I would have arrested you.
wooing here.
So all three appeared at Poole Magistrates Court where they pled guilty. Their legal representation held, however, that the incident would not have escalated in the first place if police hadn't attempted to arrest the wrong people. Norman, the witness of the earlier behavior, had unfortunately left the venue promptly after the show got out, so around 10:15 p.m., and was not
like
able
a
to
normal
weigh in or
person.
identify.
You go to the bar around the corner. You don't go to the
first
theater
floor
bar
bar.
after the show.
Overpriced theater bar.
1,000% agree. That was an egregious error on all of these people's parts. So he couldn't
None
weigh
of
in
this
to
would have
identify.
happened.
Huh?
None of this would have happened if you would have just gone around the fucking corner.
Right. If there's one thing you could take away from this, it's go to the corner bar. So he couldn't identify who was directly involved in the bar brawl. He claimed there was not enough security staff to handle the drunken Elvis fans who then poured out of the venue to combine with the thoroughly modern Millie fans, and that bar staff were not serving responsibly. That's my own editorializing.
One crowd is like hammered and one crowd is like, I'll have
Elderly.
a white wine spritzer, light
Yeah.
on the wine.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sorry, but like the theater lobby bartenders are not keeping track of
course
how many
not.
drinks.
They're outnumbered,
over
like
2,000 people
Yep,
have
they're
been consuming.
outnumbered like 2,000 to maybe 5.
Yeah,
maybe.
they have to wear uncomfortable vests
and
probably
a
little
tie.
ties.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Polyester.
Yeah.
Your wine choices are red or white.
It's not their
Like,
fault.
They're 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not their fault.
It is no.
But Norman
Been
says,
there.
quote, the group were getting drinks left, right, and center.
Yeah.
But regardless of who done
should
it,
be
putting
so
hands on the
lucky.
police clearly overshadows any and all further investigation into an incident. They did put a statement out like later on asking for any cell phone footage of the incident, but there's zero follow-up in this case, if I can even call it that. I'm using air quotes.
Everybody was like, ain't no snitch.
Yeah. So I doubt anything actually came from that. But Susan Digby was given a 12-month conditional discharge, so like basically 12 months of like parole. Celie Digby was fined 115 pounds and Kyle Flowers was fined 120 pounds. So
they'll be fine.
justice was not necessarily served, but alcohol most certainly was. And that is my sort of case.
Beautiful.
So
Well done.
stupid.
That was wonderful.
So fucking stupid.
Oh my God. Thank you, Elizabeth R., for this beautiful gift
Yes.
of Elvis
Yes,
Crimes.
thank
you
much.
So random.
Also, when I was researching like my case of like a brutal murder by an Elvis impersonator, not the only one.
No.
There are lots of them.
Yeah.
Well, there are lots of Elvis impersonators. Of course, they're bound to have a handful of murderers
And I also feel
in
like
there.
Elvis impersonation is like the last resort of like desperate middle-aged ex-felon men.
Maybe.
with like acting aspirations.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
knows?
Dashed acting and singing
Yeah,
aspirations.
Fully dashed.
So anyway,
Mrs.
Really,
Dashed.
really good topic choice and thoroughly
Loved it.
enjoyed it.
Yes.
Yes.
Had a
Thank you,
blast.
Elizabeth. And also, I don't know you personally, but I'm confident that you're fucking rocking it. So keep it up,
Yes.
baby girl.
All the best to you and your family.
Yes.
Mwah. Thank you
All right.
all.
Love you all. See you next week.
Bye-bye.